Welcome to the Human Nature Channel. I'm your host, Alex Mtamsula, also known as Daddy Baby on Twitter. And what am I doing here in my dad's rocking chair? Well, it's Tuesday night once again here at my dad's Outpost in the Wilderness farm garage. Back in 2017, when I met my invisible partner, I told him about my plans for doing videos and putting them on YouTube. And he said, hey, I have this video camera I never use. Would you like it? And I think I've mentioned this before. It's a Kodak ZI-8 HD YouTube compatible video camera. And I said, sure. And I really did appreciate the gift. And I do like this camera, except it had a drawback, which is the USB connector is awfully short. And if you want to charge the battery, you got to plug it into the side of your computer, and it hangs there for 2.5 hours, and you get like a 20-minute charge out of it. Well, it did sit on the shelf for the longest time. Then, back in February, when I really made up my mind to start doing videos again, I thought of this camera. I thought of ways I could use it. I ended up getting an extension cord for the USB. I got a power adapter for the thing. I have used it on occasion. Thing is, though, if you're going to do fancy schmancy camera work, you kind of have to plot it out in advance. And I hadn't really been thinking about using this camera lately until today. And today, I wished I had this thing all charged up and in my pocket, so I could capture a juicy bit in one take on video. And from now on, this camera is going to be in this pocket and it's going with me wherever I go. I get up here late. By about 5 o'clock, I've got all my gear in here. I've got my coffee made. I'm dragging up the stadium chair. Dad's already sitting here. So I pull up, I put my coffee on the table, I'm getting ready to sit, and Dad says, don't sit. And I'm like, why not? And he's there, look up. Okay. At that time of the day, both garage doors were up. They are down now, but this is what I got to see. I'm going to detach the camera and now it will float. Let me flip the monitor around. So I looked up and I saw this on the garage door. Now, the garage doors are metal, but they've got a layer of styrofoam, which you can see got torn up pretty good. So I'm like, wow. And Dad's there, turn around. I'm like, well, okay. So I turn around, and I'm like, whoa, look at those other doors. What happened, Dad? And he's there, well, let me tell you. Let's get this back in here. Dad's there, a raccoon got in this garage. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. I think it was like 4 days ago. He had the garage doors up after it got dark outside. And he's thinking that's when the raccoon got inside the garage. So that night, he closes the garage doors. He goes back down to the house. Now you got to understand, down at the house, Dad has a lot to keep him busy. he might not necessarily come down here for a day or two or three. So I think it was like Sunday he comes down here and he steps inside the garage and he sees this. And there's like styrofoam all over the floor. The raccoon trashed the place. I'm like, whoa. I said, Dad, have you seen this raccoon? He said, no, I haven't seen it. Or I hadn't seen it is what he meant. I said, did you get rid of it? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, how? Well, I'm going to have to move the camera for this. He was thinking and thinking and thinking. You know, and he was also looking at, you know, the damage that the raccoon had done. You know, I can lift this. You get a better look at it. Yeah, okay. Wait, let me turn this. There we go. There we go. Yeah, so he decided he was going to make a door for the raccoon. And as you know, here at the farm, we've had a lot of trees come down this year. So there's lots of logs. What he ended up doing was laying logs across the concrete from one end of the door to the other, except in the middle, he left a space. So he lowers the garage door down onto the logs. But before he left, what he did was he took sand and he plugged that hole with sand, okay? And he leaves for the evening. Comes down the next day and he finds that the raccoon had dug through the sand to escape, probably thinking it was his idea all along. And I'm thinking about what I didn't get on video, which is my dad describing how he outthought a raccoon. This is why I come up here every Tuesday. I can't get enough of the place. So what did the German clockmaker say to the clock? We have ways of making you tick-tock. So right now you should have a pretty good foundation for understanding S.I. Hayakawa as we plunge ahead into language and thought and action. From here on out, I will reread a chapter of the book and I will condense it for you. The first chapter is Language and Survival. Oh, S.I. cuts to the chase. Now, there are two things about S.I. Hayakawa I really like. The first was he was a United States Senator. I love that we're able to bring him into this, and he already has a political reputation behind everything else. And we can use his example as a standard which we could hold other senators. Now you got to understand, old SI is from the Reagan era, and that generation is mostly gone, dying out. But still, and this is the second thing I like about SI, he was probably one of the most famous English professors of all time. His book, Language and Thought and Action, has been taught in schools since 1938. You almost want to say, when's this going to get through to people, right? Because consider, journalism school. You mean to tell me this book doesn't get taught? People aren't exposed to it? I mean, if you look really close, I hope you can see that in the purple strip right there, but basically it's with an introduction by Robert McNeil of the McNeil Lehrer Hour from PBS. He writes this glowing introduction to this book, and it's like, yes, if all journalists felt that way. I mean, I picture Chuck Todd as an undergrad. Did he read this book? Was it taught to him? Did he forget he read it like I did? Have a good one.
I want my money.